What's going on, shifters? Welcome back to Shifting Stories here on YouTube. And let me tell you, we have a little bit of a problem today. I don't know if you can hear it, but we're having a little bit of issue with our technology. Don't know what's going on. It seems my phone and my little MacBook it seems everything has snow crashed. And if you don't know what snow crash is, that is when all of your technology goes TV static, black and white. It's that shh that you can hear from the technology when your technology is not very happy, okay? So we do have some problems with our technology. And part of the reason why we had this problem is because, like I said, we were in fact snow crashed. Yes, we were snow crashed and we were hacked by some serious individuals with some serious knowledge that know some things more than me and more than you. So, guys, this is the book review on Neil Stephenson's one of his most famous novels, Snow Crash. So today, I wanted to switch it up a little bit. And on this channel, like I've said before, we do all sorts of reviews. We do, well, not really all sorts, but we focus on dystopias. We focus on some of the classic satire literature, some of the classic dark humors. We also do some nonfictions that are more society, human based, some of the deeper stuff, you know. But today I wanted to do something slightly different. I wanted to do a review on not a dystopian, but a cyberpunk classic, Snow Crash. And so Snow Crash is a very interesting book. And we'll talk a lot about Snow Crash as we get started here on Shifting Stories. So, let's get a move on, shall we? And so we have Snow Crash. And how fitting that we are in front of a blockbuster. A blockbuster. We're in front of a Best Buy as we talk about techie things and technology and the control that technology has over our souls. And so this will be a Snow Crash, a cyberpunk classic book review. And we'll talk about the three parts. We'll talk about the overview. We'll go into a summary, and we'll spend a little bit of time talking about some of the deeper meaning, deeper philosophy surrounding Snow Crash, and that's going to be exciting. Okay, let's go into the overview of Snow Crash. So, Snow Crash is, like I said, a cyberpunk science fiction, but it's kind of that urban sci-fi where it takes place in Los Angeles, and this book was written in the early 90s. And so it's really cool. We have a pretty diverse mix of characters, actually. We have our main character, who goes by Hero Protagonist. And my anime fans in attendance right now, when you hear the name Hero Protagonist, you immediately think of like, you know, young guy, 16 years old, spiky hair, pretty good sword play, you know, bit of an attitude, bit of a snarky guy. It's like a black-haired anime dude name, you know? It's like, you know, a little edgy, you know, kind of a bad boy. And that's Hero Protagonist. And which, oddly enough, even though this book is like a 90s cyberpunk sci-fi, it does give very strong anime vibes. And as you read this book, you can kind of imagine this thing as if you're watching an anime as you're reading the book. Like, you can watch what's happening. And that's kind of really cool about Snow Crash. But we have our main character, Hero Protagonist, and he's like this mixed guy. I think he's like half black, half Asian, half black, half Japanese. So he's a Blasian. And he's a pretty cool guy. So Hero Protagonist, he is a pizza delivery boy by the daytime. And as we go through the heart of this little shopping center, and I try not to look super awkward here, with the top down and me blabbering as I yield to a couple of people here and I make this right turn. So Hero Protagonist, by day he is a pizza delivery boy, and by night he is this badass hacker slash swordsman in the virtual world, which goes by the metaverse. And stop me if you've heard the word meta before, which of course meta is all of the social media products owned by Facebook group, right? Which is kind of cool how that connection ended up happening. But our setting is very interesting. And so in this kind of post-government structured world, society is structured by companies, kind of like it's like a corporation run society where corporations act as these quasi governments, and society's broken down by corporations slash for-profit faux governments. And so if you can imagine, they're called franchises, okay? So society's broken down by franchises. So if you can imagine, like, McDonald's owns the west side of the country, and every franchise of McDonald's owns different parts of like cities in the area or regions and like different neighborhoods. And so society's broken down like a corporation has a piece of the region, right? So McDonald's would have a piece of Houston, you know what I mean? And, you know, maybe Walmart's gonna have this neighborhood, Amazon's gonna have like 3 states all by themselves, right? And then Google's gonna have California, and they're gonna have like Oregon, and they're gonna have Nevada, and they're gonna have the whole West Coast. And so the setting is very interesting where like government has fallen apart, and now we just have like these fractured, quasi-franchised like areas or form of government. So it's really cool. And so Hero works for like one of these big name franchises. And I think they call it Mafia America in the book. And so he's a delivery boy for Mafia America. And he's also like this badass computer hacker by nighttime. And so that's kind of the overall summary. I ain't gonna get into more detail in the actual summary, but let's go, guy. All right, here we go. So that's what we have. Let's go into the summary. And so Hero protagonist is a really cool character actually, and he's not like a hesitant character. He's not like a what do you call it? Like one of those characters that's, you know, on the come up. He's not like a frail, fragile guy. He's like an actual badass, and he has like skill and talent. And so I really like characters that are like, they have skills and abilities, you know. We're not just reading about, oh, this is the coming of age of this character, and they're gonna find, you know, the character's gonna find out if he's really strong or if he's weak, like this coming of age. None of that. Like, this guy is an established badass. So that's cool. And so we go into the metaverse and we meet a few people. Hero's best friend is David, Deadmau5, somebody like that. His name is spelled very interesting. It's like DA5ID. And I'm not actually sure of the pronunciation on that. But we go into the metaverse, and the metaverse is a virtual reality world, okay? And so the way that you get there is you put on these goggles, you connect your computer, and you go into the virtual reality world, okay? And so this proceeds, you know, every virtual reality game that you can think of. This is pre all that, right? And so in the metaverse, we have this very interesting subculture. So in the real world, we have our kind of fractional, quasi-governmental franchises that run society. Well, these same franchises that run society, they are very active in this metaverse world, okay? And so they all hang out in this place called, is it the Black Sun? I think it's called the Black Sun or the Dark Sun, okay? So the Black Sun is like, think of it as the hub or the lobby area in like a video game or like a, you know, virtual reality setting. And so it is this very high quality, you know, maximum definition, very real feeling, almost like augmented, where you actually feel like you're in this lobby. And so this lobby is like the hangout spot. It's like the area where we get together and we're gonna hang out and we're gonna discuss business. We're gonna make business deals, and we are going to do some shady stuff in the Black Sun, in the metaverse, and we're gonna run through these deals in the real world. So in the metaverse, in the Black Sun, this is where all the big names, all the big name franchises, all the big name people, all of your mafiosos, all of the well-known, public figures. This is where the people of action meet, okay? And so it's pretty cool to see this virtual world less as a video game and more as a meeting space between, I guess you can call them world leaders. So it's pretty cool how that's integrated. And so we have a problem though, because during our time early on in the book in the metaverse, there's a new drug that comes out, and this drug is called Snow Crash, okay? So at first it's kind of a comical thing, right? So the way it happens is you're given this little information card, and you open it up, and inside the card is this weird little robot character, like this weird little, if you've ever played Halo, what is that freaking, I'm sorry, I'm a PlayStation guy, not an Xbox. But that little, is it Cortana, like the little freaking holographic female android? Anyways. Oh my God, that's an FDRX7. Anyways. So this little android, this little holographic girl comes out of this card, and she holds like two little tubes. And you're like, okay, this is weird. This is kind of freaky. And then she kind of entices you to come closer. And as she entices you to come closer, she whispers something in your ear, and all of a sudden, your avatar in the metaverse starts to freak out. Like, it's buggy. You like sit there awkwardly with like a weird expressionless face, right? And so you start to bug out. And it's supposed to be like a drug that you just get high off of. But what's really happening is the Snow Crash is messing with your virtual head, but also messing with your real life head. And so as you're sitting there at home with your goggles on in the VR world, this Snow Crash messes up your brain and can leave you with brain damage. It can leave you comatose. And so this is like a serious thing, right? And so that's Snow Crash. And then all throughout the story, we follow hero protagonist and his 15-year-old skater friend. She goes by White Tea. She's like this little badass courier. And by the way, the people who do these deliveries, like in the real world, away from the virtual world, they're called couriers. So Hero's a courier. White Tea is like this cool chick, and she's also a courier. She rides a skateboard, and she's like really badass on the skateboard. She's doing like all these tricks, and she can like dodge enemies. She's like a pretty badass character. And she has like all these pockets in her outfit where she can like stash so much stuff. And she's like this cool, like geeky character with like all these little quirks. And so that's White Tea. And then we have a few more characters come along, but pretty much, and Juanita. Juanita is Hero's ex-girlfriend, and she's like this super intelligent, like one of these computer hackers, and she also was one of the ones that helped make the metaverse. And she's very well read, very knowledgeable, and she's Hero's ex. So we have this group of people trying to figure out what the hell snow crash is and why it seems to be hurting people, why it's damaging the metaverse, and what's going on deeper behind the scenes. And so now I want to dive into the philosophical piece, because this snow crash has a very interesting connection to like ancient Sumerian culture and ancient civilizations, and even has some connections into like early Judaism and like early Bible, Old Testament, Deuteronomy. And so snow crash, they made it to where people who are affected by it, the reason why they're affected by it is because it goes back to like this ancient Tower of Babel from the Bible, where like all languages were the same, and when that snow crash hits you, it like attacks your brain on like this primordial, like ancient level. And so the snow crash says like an ancient language to you, and in this ancient language, your brain is like, it's like an overload. And so it's really cool how Neil Stevenson integrates like ancient human history and kind of ancient religions and even like Sumerian gods and goddesses and like this cool mix of like monotheism and polytheism religion into the digital world of this virus snow crash. And that's what makes Snow Crash, like the book itself, so special, is just the intelligence behind it and the writing and the ability to integrate old ancient human stories into this modern digital virtual reality world. And so Snow Crash has that really cool dual element of language. And really, the deeper meaning is language itself. It's like, where did all of these human languages originate from? And how did human language develop throughout the world in such a vast amount of time, right? And that kind of goes back to the Tower of Babel and how they integrated that piece into the book, where languages, human languages, and the language world of like coding and the digital language is like this integration, this melding of both ideas. And so we have the spoken human language, and then we have the codified digital language of the virtual world, and then we have kind of the smashing and bringing together of both languages. And it's really fascinating how that plays out. And so I like to think of Snow Crash as the thinker's sci-fi or the thinker's cyberpunk novel. Because yes, there's like cool fighting here and there. Yes, hero protagonist is a fun character. Yes, white tee's fun. And there's some cool fighting scenes, and there's some really cool back and forth. The villain is also kind of cool. But really that deeper meaning of language and the bringing together of language across the physical world and the virtual world. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Why do we humans have so many variation in our languages? And does it come from the regions that our ancestors came from? Or were we all just thrown off a really big tower and all of our languages just got confused, right? And so let me know what y'all think of this vast human language network and how we have so many dialects, how we have so many accents, and how we have so many cultures surrounding our language. And does the virtual language, the language of coding, is that the next evolution of human language? Is all of our language going to be ones and zeros one day? Are we all going to be living virtually, perpetually in the internet world, in the age of information? Is that the next step for humanity? Is the digital language? All right, guys. This has been the pseudo review of Snow Crash, and I hope you guys really enjoy it. Check it out. Now, it's a little bit of a taxing read, okay? It's a little bit taxing. So it's not a book that you can finish in a couple of days, all right? It's gonna might take you a little week to kind of get used to all of the ins and outs of Snow Crash, but let me tell you, it is worth it in the end. All right, guys, we will catch you next time here on Shiftin' Stories, and we will shift you later.